Last time on Sailing Balachandra, we joined a race team in the 2020 Round Carriacou Cruisers Regatta, checked out the local Jab Jab celebrations, hung out on beautiful Saline Island, then joined in birthday celebrations on the beach in Hillsborough.
If you're new to our channel, hello, I'm Noelle.
And I'm Dan.
And we're Sailing Balachandra. We've sailed all the way from Nova Scotia, Canada to the Caribbean, and we've been cruising for about a year now.
That's right. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, just go below this video and look for the big red subscribe button and press that button. Hey guys, in this week's video we're going to take a little trip back in time and talk about how I bought this boat, and I'm going to share with you some of the things I learned about the boat buying process that I found very helpful. If you're currently looking or planning on buying a cruising boat in the future, hopefully this video will help you out. If you're new to boating and want to buy a boat, you may want to contact a broker. Balachandra is a 44-foot boat. I had no experience with a boat this large. I found it very helpful to have a broker who would drive me around, show me boats, and help with a lot of information that a novice boat buyer may not have. I couldn't see doing it any other way at that time. If I were to buy a boat today, I probably wouldn't need a broker now that I know so much about boats, having been a boat owner all these years. Most brokers will work with you as they assume you already have the money and are willing to help you out. The broker's commission is paid by the seller. In my case, there was two brokers, a buying broker and a selling broker. Both brokers involved in the sale split the commission, just like with real estate. When I started out, I didn't have the money to buy this boat. I needed a boat loan. If you're looking to purchase a large yacht, you will need a fairly substantial loan. I had some trouble here in Canada finding a bank who would finance my boat. I had already sold my home, and it turns out that banks don't want to hear that. They want to sell you a secured loan, meaning if things go wrong, you could always sell your home to pay off the loan. If you don't have a home or any assets to secure that loan, they will be very reluctant to give you a loan. In fact, it will be impossible. I tried several local banks here in Canada with no luck. Even with a fairly large down payment, they would not give me a loan. It was made very clear to me that the economy and society at large does not support your choice to be nomadic. It seemed to me that our banking system saw me as a radically thinking individual, someone trying to escape their economic prison. One bank even told me, "Why are you buying a boat? Why not buy a house?" I had just sold a house. Another banker told me, "Had you not sold your house, I would have given you this boat loan." It seemed absurd to me, and at the same time, it made it very clear that the world does not want people to do this kind of thing. But these were eye-opening moments for me that only strengthened my decision to want to live on a boat. As though I woke up like Neo from the Matrix and realized that everyone is tied into this system, and if only they could wake up, they would see that this money they're spending, this employer they work for, this bank who they owe money to, are all just ideas created by people to control other people, which is essentially a form of slavery. But we are free, and we can make our own choices to do what we want to do with our own lives. In the end, I was able to obtain a loan from a smaller private company who were willing to finance a boat. I was very lucky. I know that by getting this loan to purchase my boat, I am creating debt, and it's probably my last tie into the economic system of the world. However, this is my only debt. It's not a substantial debt. I will pay this off at some point, and I'm not accumulating other loans and other debts as I would if I owned a home on shore and was considering improvements, or buying a cottage, or buying a car, or buying a second car, or any of the things that people crave when they're living in modern society. The more debt we have, the deeper we are tied into this system. The deeper we're tied into this system, the more likely we will carry it through to retirement. When you retire, you may decide to buy a boat and maybe move aboard and go sailing until your health declines, perhaps. But those years are numbered, and it seems very unfair that something as physically taxing as sailing is most commonly done in people's golden years, as it is the only time they were able to do so, due to the inflated prices of yachts, and the myth that one has to have a financial nest egg saved up in order to enjoy this lifestyle. Basically, in our society, there are rules and roadblocks. These are controlled ultimately by the banks, but also by the media, but even more so by ourselves. I've found my own parents telling me that I should buy a car, or that I should buy a house, that this house would be a security or an investment, and that would be important for securing my future in my retirement. This is all propaganda to support your slavery and to keep you from living free and doing as you please. Not only did I have a broker, but I also did a lot of searching on my own to buy a boat. It took me almost an entire year to finally find the boat I wanted. It's not something you should do quickly. There's lots of boats for sale and they don't sell fast. Most people selling boats have to wait a very long time to get an interested buyer. It's a buyer's market and I knew I could take my time and do it right. Mostly I used Yacht World. Chances are you will find your boat there. Some boat owners might just put a for sale sign on a boat sitting in a marina, and I've heard of boats being sold that way. But you would have to visit a lot of marinas, and it would be very time consuming. I would not recommend looking for a boat like that. Many brokers will sell boats on their websites, but chances are they're also on Yacht World. Another place to look is Kijiji in Canada or Craigslist in the States. A lot of boats get listed there. Again, some of them might also be on Yacht World, but at least you can do a search and find a boat fairly easily using a website. I recommend you take your time and look at a lot of boats, especially if you're looking over a broad area. I had a spreadsheet with about 26 different boats I was looking at one time. It would be easy to find a boat within driving distance of your location, but a boat that has everything you're actually looking for might be hundreds of kilometers away. Balachandra was 300 nautical miles distance from where I lived, and I had to sail it home. But I was willing to purchase a boat as far away as New York or even Florida, and I would have sailed it home if I had to. I would recommend that you start searching for your financing early. If you're getting a boat loan or other means of financing, it may take some time, and when the selling broker is looking to have papers signed, you will want to be able to write a check on the spot. I was a little late getting my financing together to buy this boat, and it created a little tension because when the deal closed and the selling broker was ready to have his paper signed, I did not have my financing secured, and there was some question as to whether the sale would proceed. If I were to do this again, I would definitely have my finances in order before the deal goes through. When you're boat shopping, it's really important to consider what your boat will be used for. If you're just cruising around on evenings and weekends, you definitely don't need a 40-foot yacht. I was looking for a boat that is capable of crossing oceans. We haven't yet crossed an ocean, but we did plan a trip to Bermuda, and we did cross the Caribbean Sea from St. Thomas all the way to Grenada, which took 5 days. And I'm very thankful that we have a boat that is large enough and capable of doing a crossing like that. These are things you definitely need to consider. If you go back and watch our video, The Cost of Living Aboard for 1 Year, you'll see that a lot of costs were involved right up front when I first bought the boat, like stepping the mast or renting a crane to put the boat into the water. When considering my budget on this boat, I not only had to consider the cost of the boat itself, I also had to consider all of the extra costs that will come up, like the cost of a surveyor, the cost of launching, the cost of hiring a captain to bring it home if you need one, the cost of insurance, and most importantly, the cost of any necessary improvements you might want to do to the boat. It's very rare to buy a boat that doesn't need something done, or that requires some modification in order to make the boat capable to do what you need it to do. Or even the cost of a flight in an Airbnb if you need to travel to visit the boat, like I did, as the boat I bought was relatively far away, and I needed several days to complete the deal. When searching for a boat, there were several criteria I listed in my spreadsheet, like boat length, length of waterline, type of rig, full or fin keel, the boat's draft, the engine hours on the diesel engine, the age of the rigging, the age of the spars, how many spars, the age of the batteries, any recent or new items added to the boat, or if the boat is more of a racing boat or more of a cruising boat. Balachandra turned out to be both a racing and cruising boat, and it's been great for us because sometimes we'll want to do a fast passage, and it's nice to have that ability at our fingertips. Once I found a boat that I was really interested in, the first thing I would do was contact the seller or the selling broker and request the most recent survey. Sometimes this throws them off a little bit, but in most cases they will produce a survey and send it to you. This is very helpful. With the survey, you can find out if the boat has had any recent problems and had any repairs done to correct those problems, whether the boat is insurable, and whether or not you will need to also pay for a survey depending how recent this survey is. I always asked for additional photos. Even if it means the broker has to go and take more photos and send them to you, most brokers will actually do that for you. Don't be afraid to ask for photos. If you see a boat that you really love, don't jump at it. That's a very common mistake. You can fall in love with a boat from a photograph. I added plenty of boats to my list just because I loved the way they looked or felt, or the photos just really got me. But as I thoroughly investigated each boat, I would realize that there were very good reasons for me not to buy some of these boats. Sometimes the boat that will do what you want it to do may not look or feel like the boat you thought you needed, or may not fit within your budget. My boat search took almost an entire year. That's a long time to put off sailing. To me, this was downtime. I used this time to build my chops. I joined a sailboat racing crew and raced every week. I read books, watched YouTube videos, and sharpened up all of my sailing skills to be ready for the day that I actually started my journey. Another thing I discovered is that if I was going to buy a boat in a different country, chances are you'll have to pay duties, taxes, import fees, registration, licensing, or other costs depending on where you live that can be prohibitively expensive. I discovered it was much cheaper for me to purchase a boat within my own country rather than to import a boat, even if the price tag of the foreign boat was much lower. I guess the alternative would be if you were not planning to return to your home country and to start cruising right away on your new boat, this may not be an issue for you, unless you decide to one day return home, at which point these fees and charges could become a real problem for you. I would highly recommend anyone to pay for a full marine survey of their boat before purchasing. If there's a problem with the boat, the surveyor can get you out of the deal. Most insurance companies will require a recent survey before they will insure a boat. My insurance company certainly did, and I'm glad I had a survey done. However, before I paid for a survey, I did a lot of groundwork on my own, which helped me to prep my surveyor for items to look for, and also gave me a lot of background information about the model of boat I was looking at. Chances are there will be an online owners group for that model of boat. If you can find it, sign up and start asking questions. They'll tell you about common problems and things that have gone wrong with their boats, and will help you ask the right questions. In my case, there was a boat I was looking at before I bought Balachandra that had a problem with its chain plates. I wouldn't have known about this at all had I not contacted other owners of the same model boat through Facebook who warned me about this chain plate issue, and I did not buy that boat. I would definitely go to see the boat in person before hiring a surveyor. Here is a list of the things I would check for before ever considering spending a dime on a survey. Hull damage, osmosis blistering, recent bottom coat, if the prop is in good shape, if there's play in the rudder, if there's play in the prop shaft, is the hull wet, can you tap the fiberglass for wet spots, are there any soft spots in the deck, check for wet spots with a moisture meter if possible, check the condition of the deck fittings, check the condition of the standing and running rigging, check the gel coat for spider cracking, check for water damage on the interior teak, check the bilge for an oil spill. What is the general appearance of the engine? Is there an odor? Is there any mold or mildew? Are the keel bolts rusty? Is there any obvious damage? Are the chain plates corroded? Is there any weakening in the bulkheads due to wood rot or maybe separated tabbing? I found the surveyors I've hired have missed many of these things. A good surveyor should check a boat over from top to bottom, but they usually don't get that deep into a survey, and any one of these items could be missed. That said, a decent surveyor can save you on a good deal or help you out to kill a bad deal. Finding a good surveyor can be tough. Brokers will usually have a list of local surveyors, but don't be afraid to find one on your own. Make sure it's not the broker's buddy. I found it helpful to share some of my own research with the surveyor. Make sure you mention any known flaws with that model of boat that you've read about online. And make sure they have a moisture meter and a hammer and do a decent check for moisture in the hull and on the deck. Another good idea is to pay for a mechanical engine inspection. I needed to sail Balachandra back to Nova Scotia the day I bought her. The engine had to work, so for me it was a no-brainer to pay for a full mechanical engine inspection on her before closing the deal. For me, items I considered to be deal killers would be deck and hull moisture, problems with the chain plates, major problems with the standing rigging, any issues with an engine, or any structural damage to the hull. Chances are you will do a sea trial. I did a sea trial on Balachandra, and I found it very helpful as I was able to meet the previous owner and find out some good information about the boat's operations. On my sea trial, I had the owner and the broker present. If you can, have your surveyor present as well. Make sure you run through all of the systems, electronics, engine, and rigging. When it comes time to do the deal, you want to make sure you get a list of everything that is included with the boat. Get this list early in the deal. Don't be afraid to ask for items that are not on the list. On the day the deal closes, check to make sure all of the items that are on your list are actually in or with the boat. If there's one final thing I would recommend to anyone purchasing a boat, is to try to be amicable with the previous owner. And if you can, set up a small boat tour with them and have them show you all of the systems and all of the tricks they know on operating that boat. It may save you a lot of time and trial and error, or mishaps and mistakes that could easily be avoided. So that's the end of this boat buying video. I hope you guys found it helpful. If you have any questions for me, just leave them in the comments below or contact me on Facebook. Thanks. See you later.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this week's video, please don't forget to leave us a like or a comment below.
And if you haven't subscribed, just look below the video. There's a big red button that says subscribe. Press that button. And if you haven't checked out our Patreon page, it's a good time to do so. If you like what we do and you want to give back, that's where you do it. See you later.
Bye.